I'm going to do is I'm going to hit record tonight because I know that some of our challengers are in different time zones. So for them, they're not able to join us in person, and some of them are in the middle of the bedtime battle, which luckily for me, my kids are down already, but for some of the challengers, they're in the middle of trying to put the kids to sleep. So anyways, I didn't want them to miss out. I wanted to record. What I did tonight is I made a little list of topics, like suggestions and advice that I would give you for meal planning and meal prepping if I were in the beginning. And a lot of these tips that I'm going to give you tonight are actually things that today I still do 4 years later. So I will share these tips with you, and then afterwards I'll give you time to ask me questions if you had something specific. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Is that how you want to go? Okay. So first things first, I just want you, so if you don't have any paper, maybe grab a piece, you can jot down some notes. One of the things that I'm going to suggest to you is that you start ahead of time. So for me, when I was brand new to this, I was really overwhelmed by the idea of meal planning. It seemed daunting to try to decide what I was going to eat for like 7 days worth of food for my whole family. Like, to me, that was really overwhelming. And so what I had to do was I had to start ahead of time, because sitting down thinking that I could actually plan all of those foods in like an hour or so was very unrealistic. I wanted to think that I was that good at meal planning, but I wasn't. And I was a full-time teacher. So for me, like, planning was really, that was my jam. So I was like, I got this. But literally, I remember it taking me like 2 solid days to plan, because I was really like way overthinking it. And I was trying to do these like crazy elaborate recipes, and I made it hard on myself. So I just want you guys to know, as a beginner, don't start on Sunday. Like, don't sit down on Sunday and say like, okay, today I'm going to just pound out this week's meal plan, because you're going to find yourself stressing. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I just need to go to the grocery store. Like, this is too much to do. So I'm going to suggest on Thursday, like I would really recommend, like, pour yourself a small glass of wine, sit down, watch TV while you're doing it or something, and just try to do some meal planning. And while you're doing this, it's really important that you meal plan at home. And the reason being is because I sit down, I actually like to do it in my kitchen, and I'll sit and I'll have like a couple pieces of paper out. And one piece of paper will be like my meal plan. The other piece of paper will be our grocery list, because I'm building it at the same time. That's really important. Don't try to meal plan and then do your grocery list, because you'll miss ingredients and then you're really out of luck. So do it all together, and at the same time, cross-reference your pantry and your fridge. Like, okay, what do we already have, so that we're not buying more? You know, do we have black beans? Could we make tacos this week? What do we already have on hand? So make sure you're doing that. That'll save you a little bit of money too. Now, as a newbie, my timeline would look like this. Thursday, Friday, meal plan, write out the grocery list. At some point on Saturday, I would go to the grocery store and I would go solo. The reason being is if you have children or a spouse, they put stuff in the cart you don't need. My husband, I love him dearly, and I appreciate when he goes to the grocery store, but when he comes home, I promise you, number one, he's over budget, and number two, he has ice cream and Frosted Flakes for the kids or whatever, like, I don't want in the house. So I'm just going to tell you that your sticking to your list will be so much easier if you go solo, and it'll be nice to just have a break. So try to get to the grocery store alone so you have control. Here's the thing. Sometimes people get confused and they say that clean eating is expensive. Have you ever heard people say that? Like, oh, this healthy eating is so expensive. It's actually cheaper, but only on one condition, and that's that you cut out all the other processed stuff. Clean eating is expensive. If you're trying to buy all the produce and the fruits and the vegetables and the fresh food, but then you're throwing in the goldfish and the ramen noodles and the canned box foods, then yes, it is expensive. But you can get away with a really super cheap grocery bill if you can be really clean. Now, granted, that will be somewhere where you get to. I don't want you making your family members mad and just like completely wiping out the house, but I do want you to know that it can be done in a very affordable way. So anyways, I would do that on Saturday, and then Sundays I would do my meal prepping, and I'll talk more about that in just a second, but I want to go back to just a couple things. So when you do your meal plan, if you have a family. If you're just like solo, then this is your gig. But if you have a family at home, I would encourage you to ask them, what do you want to eat this week? That's something that we do every week in our house. I say to my husband, like, okay, here's what I have planned, and I'll leave a spot or two open, and I'll say, what do you want for dinner? Or I'll ask my son, what will you eat this week for mommy? And then I figure out how to make that fit into our meal plan. So I would encourage you to do the same. Don't let them do your whole meal plan, but say like, come here, like, let's do this together. You're going to create a lot more buy-in with your family, and that's super important with this. Let's see here. So I'm going to suggest trying 1 to 2 new recipes a week. That's it. Trying 7 new recipes a week is too much, and it's going to leave you frustrated, especially if you don't like cooking. Especially if you love cooking, then sure, try to do 3 or 4. But honestly, like, don't make this harder than it needs to be. I would suggest doing Pinterest for your ideas, but give yourself a timer. Like, legit set a timer on your phone that says you have 20 minutes to scroll Pinterest for ideas or whatever you're giving yourself, and then stop, because Pinterest is a hole, and you'll find yourself making 85 new recipes and you're like, what am I doing? And then you'll be just like way off track. So I want you to do those things. I also want you guys to realize in your on-demand library, raise your hand if you've looked at the Fixate channel yet. Have you guys looked at that? Awesome. Go check that out. So she updates recipes. Autumn Calabrese and her brother's Bobby, and he's a chef, and they publish new recipes, usually like 1 or 2 a week, but it's like a cooking channel. You go and watch them. It's really short, like 5 minutes, and they'll give you inspiration. So I would definitely get in the habit of checking that out. It's great because they break it down by containers. The Beachbody blog, if you've not already started using that, if you just type in like Google Beachbody blog, they have a whole section on recipes, and every recipe that they share there also breaks things down by container. So I would be looking into that. And then if you haven't heard of the Fixate cookbook, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but she came out with that before she came out with the channel. And so the cookbook is a real cookbook. It's very nice, breaks it down by breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, salads, and it shows you container counts. Awesome. I don't have mine here tonight because I had lent it to my mom. She's actually in our challenge group. So my mom has it right now, and she's really enjoying having the cookbook. So if you don't have that, let me know. I can put you in the direction of how to get it. It's about, I think it's like $15, but to me it was worth it. It was nice to have a hard cookbook. It helped me with my meal planning. Okay, so another thing. It's really easy in the beginning to like play the comparison game where you're in the challenge group and you see somebody and they posted their meal plan and you're like, look at it, it's color coded and it's typed up and it's in this fancy chart. Like, how many of you have done that before, right? It's easy to be like, mine's on the back of the grocery list. Like, I'm so not with it. Like, you guys need to know that this is your race. You have to put your own blinders on and do what works for you. If you're super type A and you need to type it and color code it, please by all means do that. If you're not, don't try to be someone you're not, and don't try to do something that's not going to work for you. Just handwrite it, or just, write it. Like, sometimes I'll use my son's crayons, honestly. Like, if I want to try to color code with the containers, I'll just do it that way. With the baby right now, I'm in a season of life where, like, don't get me wrong, I'm super type A. I love typing my meal plans and color coding them, but I don't have time right now. So I handwrite mine every week. I'm far enough in the game that I can tell you what color it is, that I can just write it in black pen. And I know how many containers I have, and I'm good. But I will tell you, 4 years ago, I couldn't have just wrote it in pen. I had to do the colors. I had to like make my little boxes. I had to do it that way, but that's how I learned. So you got to do you. One thing that I suggest doing is alternating your breakfast. So on a Sunday, I might make like egg cup muffins. Have you guys ever made those before? They're really easy. Just eggs, veggies, whatever you want to throw, and then throw them into, I used to do the egg cups, like I put them in muffins, but the muffin tins are pain to clean. So we got in the habit of buying disposable pans from Sam's Club. So I just make it like an egg bake it in there, and then I throw the pan away afterwards. But anyways, I might go back and forth between like eggs on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday is like an oatmeal bake or whatever. So just kind of like pick 2 things and then just alternate back and forth if you can. Some of you, you're not going to want to do that, but whatever you need to do. In our home, what we do is whatever we're having for dinner, I try to make like kind of, I don't want to say double, but kind of double, because I want to have enough that's tomorrow's lunch for my husband and It will make your planning easier because now you're not having to plan lunch. But here's the thing, you have to be careful. So I always plan dinners first. Like, I know it's tempting to plan all of Monday and then all of Tuesday, but it actually makes the most sense if you plan all of your dinners first, because your dinners are typically carb heavy. So if you're on plan A and you only get 2 yellow containers, if you're having tacos with brown rice, like say you're having tacos, so there's your corn tortillas, and you wanted to have brown rice, you can't have oatmeal for breakfast then. If that makes sense. So like, plan your dinner so that you can base the rest of the day around it. But that also means that if last night's dinner was 2 carbs, that means that tomorrow's lunch probably is 2 carbs. So then Tuesday's dinner probably needs to, you know, depending on where you fall on the meal plan. But you have to just be careful because you'll put yourself in a pickle if you don't pay attention to dinners first. Okay, so what else did I want to share? I would say that it's important to wash and prep your veggies and your fruits a few days at a time. Anything you can do ahead of time is helpful, especially if you're working a full-time job or you've got a house full of kids. The last thing you want to do every day is wash fruits and chop veggies. Like, it's a lot of work. I'm not going to lie and say that this is easy. So if you can have any of it done ahead of time, I think you're going to be really grateful, and it'll make those mornings where you're like, I don't feel like it. It'll make it easier to fall off the wagon. Or harder, not easier. What else? Okay, I have a couple other just little tips here, and then I'm gonna open it up to questions. So number one, those containers that you got, you know, your like little containers that you got, how many of you, when you got those containers, you looked at the carbs and you were like, oh my gosh, I was not eating that. Like, that is not my serving of brown rice usually, right? How many of you, that was like an eye opener? Yeah, that's usually kind of, for some, that's the one that's happening. Here's what's important. I need you to use them, but I don't want you to eat out of them. The reason being is I want you to learn what a healthy serving size looks like. So I want you to portion the rice into that container, but then I want you to dump it onto your plate, because I want you to get in the habit of knowing, so that a month down the road, you're not going to need that yellow container. You're going to know what it looks like. So I want you to do that, but I want you to use them until you have this down. And I am telling you, it will take a couple months for you to have this down. So I want you to just, in the beginning, use those things like religiously, like wherever you can, use them as often as you can. You need to. Let's see here. What else do I want to say? Oh, okay. So for your meal plan, I want you, whatever it is, like I said, whether it's typed, whether it's chicken scratch, I want you to put it where your family can see it. So for some of you, it may need to be on the refrigerator door. And that's because you need your family to have buy-in, and you need them to know what we're having. So you don't want, if you have teenagers, you don't want them to say like, Mom, can't we just have pizza tonight? Like, no, we can't. Mom just did a lot of planning that we're having tacos tonight and we've got the groceries. Like, you need your whole family to understand that, like, we're not having pizza tonight because we spent money on groceries, we planned, Mom's doing this, like, it's a no. So it'll help. It'll also help, like, I know some families have trouble, like one of our challengers, she really has her daughter involved in this. You guys see her posting, her daughter, Amanda, she's always posting with her little girl, and her little girl is very much involved in this journey with her. It's really awesome to see. She preps her fruit for her. Like, they do this together. And so for her, it's really important that her daughter knows what's on the meal plan, so that she can be a part of it. So that would be my advice. If you did type it, like some of you are going to type it up, I used to take mine to work too. Like, I kept it with me wherever I went. I folded it up and it was in my purse, and I was like, oh, I have this left. So that's important. And then last but not least, I really want to encourage you to keep the temptations out of your home. Your home needs to be your safe space, not your battleground. And if your pantry is full of knocked out cookies and ice cream, your home will become your battleground too. So I just want you to know that that's really important right now. And that will take buy-in from your family. They're going to need to know why you're doing this, and why mommy can't have X, Y, Z. And if you feel like you don't, like some people say, like, I don't want to tell my kids they can't have this snack anymore, then I need you to buy a different snack for your kids if it's your temptation. If you know that you're going to stick your hand in the goldfish bag and you're just going to take fistfuls, stop buying goldfish, buy animal crackers, or buy something that you don't want until you get stronger. Because this is very much an activity in the beginning that you're not going to have the willpower for this right away. It's going to take practice. You're going to fall off the wagon. You're going to hit the drive-through. Like, you're not going to be perfect from the start, and that's so okay, but you have to be ready for that. But you want your home to be your safe space. So I just really would encourage you to clean it up at home. It's hard enough at work, at friends' houses. Like, you're going to have to say no to temptations a lot. I'd rather you not have to do it at home. Okay, so it's 9:16. I like to keep these calls like a half an hour or shorter. So I want to give you a chance right now. I will unmute you. I had muted some of you guys, so I'll unmute you. If you have a specific question, let's talk about it, or if you just want advice, go ahead.
I don't know. I overthink things a lot.
Okay.
So I think I just kind of need to simplify things for a while, and as opposed to, I'm a big Pinterest, like I'll stay on Pinterest for hours and like, oh, that doesn't sound good, this sounds good, whatever. And I think that that's just going to be too much for me right now. I think I need to stick to like simplifying it. I'm sorry, my baby, it's dinner time. So
I think
stick to like the protein and the veggie and the carb, and like I think that's how I'm going to get used to it. As opposed to like big recipes,
Yeah, it'll be how you get stronger too. Like you'll find the point where you're like, I can do this. I can actually have a different meal than the simple thing. But like I told you, give yourself a timer. If you're a Pinterest girl, that's a whole. Like tell yourself you get one recipe this week or two, and that's it.
Yeah.
Is your family supportive of this? Like, are they doing it with you?
Yeah. My husband, I meal prep for him during the week too and stuff, so he'll eat whatever I make.
Good, that's awesome. And then how many kids are at home?
Two.
And how's their diet? So
good. The 3-year-old is a 3-year-old, but my 8-month-old will eat anything. So yeah.
Okay, so you really only have like you're not gonna have to really make any second options, right?
I don't think so. No.
Good. That makes your life so much easier. Some of my clients have to make like 3 and 4 dinners because nobody wants what they're having. So I'm glad to hear that. That will make your life easier.
Yeah.
Did you start it all for next week?
You mean meal prepping wise or meal planning wise?
Yeah. Like, do you have any ideas what you're gonna try?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna kind of. I like to stick with 1 or 2 things in general, like for breakfast and lunch. Lunch is usually I actually, to be completely honest, do 1 thing for the week. Yeah. Like the same thing. And then dinners, I've always done it where like I cook one night and we have leftovers the next night. That's what works for us.
So you only have to cook like every other night.
Every other night, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So then if we have other stuff to be doing and stuff like that.
That's why you're not doing your lunches as your dinners then, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
gotcha. Anything else question wise that you have?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just I kind of need to simplify it, Yeah.
I think I should mention this to you guys. A lot of people get hung up on the recipes. So they'll message me and they're like, here's this recipe, but I don't know how to do the containers. I think you have to just make a eyeball judgment. You're not going to have exactly, like when you go to have a serving of dinner, you're not going to have exactly a full container of green necessarily, or a full purple. Like I think you have to eyeball it and have a decent portion size and just know that you may have been short a little bit of green, or you may have had a little bit more, but like some of it's hard. Some of the recipes will tell you it's this many containers, but some don't. Like we're not lucky that everybody out there is 21 Day Fix approved. So I think you just have to learn to make your best judgment and feel like if you're hungry, then you probably didn't get enough. Like you should have seconds. So as long as it's healthy, the more you're just counting like clean ingredients and not calories, you're going to lose the weight. Like you guys are going to be feeling amazing, and you'll get to a point where you'll learn this will be the only way you eat. Like your brain will naturally say like, how many crumbles have I had today? And it will become a habit, but it's wonderful because you'll never count calories. You'll never look at, as long as the ingredients are clean, you don't care. You just eat it. Like, I don't, I'm not like, oh my gosh, this avocado has X amount of, I don't care. Like, it's a healthy food. That's all that matters. And you want to shoot for like 5 or less. When you look at the ingredients on a package, it should have 5 or less ingredients, and you should be able to pronounce them. Anything that's a chemical or a word you don't know, don't eat it. Your body doesn't need it. And I don't mean like a recipe. A recipe is going to have a lot of ingredients, but I just mean like processed foods. So that's my 2 cents. Any other questions? Stephanie, do you have any?
No.
No? All right. You've been at this for a little while now.
Yeah, a month and a half, I think.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it's getting any easier for you?
Yeah, a bit, but I'm not, I was not meal planning, so now I'm gonna do it. So I will see how it goes.
Your results will be even better, I promise. It's really unfortunate as the coach when I stand back, and I'm not saying for Stephanie, I'm just saying in general, it's really hard to watch a client say like, I want to get these really great results, and then you ask them like, are you meal planning? And they're like, no. But you see them like they're posting their sweaty workouts and they're killing it in their workouts, and they're trying, but they're not doing the nutrition part. And honestly, it just slows down their results. I don't want to see you do this unless you do it all in, because I want you to have the results. I want this to be fun for you, and I want you to have those wins. This is where the wins come from, is the meal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, ladies, I'm rooting for you. If you need help with this week's meal plan, you can certainly send it to me. I'll gladly look over it, give you some advice, but just make sure you do it. That's all I got to say. Okay.
Do you have a like a blank template of your meal plan?
I can give you, honestly, it's not really a template. I just go into Google Docs and I make a table, and then I just kind of highlight each color, but I can certainly share one with you if you guys want it.
That would be cool. I'm very type A personality, so it would help
I'll share it in the challenge tracker, and I'll make it editable. So then just do save a copy of it, and you can edit your. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Have a good night. See you later. Bye.